Hi. So I'm going to reflect a little bit about my weekend away. So last weekend I had a mini writing retreat, I called it, but it wasn't just about writing. It was about being by myself for a few days and just having some complete time alone, just to really think. And actually, it was quite tiring. And then when I got back, I've really felt quite wiped out. One of those weekends where you kind of need another day to recover. And I think that's because there's a lot of pressure when if you check into a hotel to write, and then, oh my God, what if I can't write anything? And how much writing should I be doing? And should I be doing this? And should I be doing that? And there's this, I was aware that there's this whole world of things one could be doing, and could be going out and eating all different food. And yeah, I mean, I didn't do any of that. Just really simple. And I did a lot of writing, I did a lot of thinking, and I reflected on the 12 omens thing, which is something that my good witchy writer friend in Japan introduced me to a few years ago. And that is, on the 25th of December, look for an omen, something that jumps out at you, a sign or something that happens or something that you see, man-made or natural. That becomes then the omen for January, and the 26th is for February, and so on. And then you can do the 13th day, which is for the whole year. So I kind of looked at that because I was about, a quarter of the way through February. So I reflected on January's omen, and I thought a bit about February's, and wrote a little bit about the others, and just went through my notes, and from writing went on to other things. And anyway, one of the things I kind of decided about is, because I often decide to do something and then, oh yeah, I remember my husband saying this once. Oh yeah, I remembered I was going to be a nihilist, or I was experimenting with being a nihilist, like a positive nihilist or something. Have I been being one? I can't remember. And it's like I said out loud, even in a group, oh, this year I'm going to be a magician, and kind of everyone laughed. And my husband said, you probably should have explained that, because they might have meant, pulling rabbits out of hats and things, rather than like the more magical tarot kind of version that I actually meant. I just really meant, paying more attention to it, deep diving, doing some more reading, doing some more tarot. And yeah, I'm all about practical application. So for me, it's all about putting that into practice in one's actual life. So for me, outside of work, I can have moments of, oh yeah, really in tune with the universe and synchronicities, and I can see all the patterns, and I can do the tarot, and I'm really into this, and I'm paying attention, and then I can go to a work meeting and, yeah, kind of be destroyed. Um, so I'm really working on that. And one of the things I came up with when I was away for the weekend was, well, what is the first thing that a magician needs? And I thought, well, the magician needs a magic wand. So I thought, yeah, okay, I'll make a magic wand. And I was thinking, well, what kind of wand would I want? And I was thinking I'd maybe want something that was, yeah, kind of like a wand shaped. But then I also began thinking about a chalice. And then I began thinking about maybe something like a kind of a flared, sort of like a flared base, so that it would stand. And that maybe I was thinking, well, what do I make things out of? And I was thinking, well, I make paper, and I make paper pulp, and I make bowls. Would I maybe make something out of paper pulp and old jewelry, or would I just wind old jewelry? And I was having all these kind of more complex crafting type of ideas. And then, as I say, I got home, kind of felt a bit ill and run down, had a really busy day at work, and a lot of driving around and stuff on Monday, and just came home totally wiped out. Struggled in on Tuesday, came home and just kind of went to bed for the afternoon, and actually took a day off sick on Wednesday, which is kind of really unusual for me, and just slept most of the day in a sort of semi-feverish, worrying about whether work would be okay without me, because I'm so indispensable. Yeah, actually they were. Surprise, surprise. Well, the sky didn't fall in. And yeah, and that isn't being big-headed, by the way. That's just really anxiety about, oh my God, what if, I let people down and, oh yeah, I must come in. Whereas if someone else is sick, I never think, oh, I always go, yeah, of course, I'll cover that. Anyway, so then I went back to work, sort of light duties yesterday, just stayed at home, offered to go in, didn't need to. So as a consequence of that, I felt a lot better. And when it got to the evening of Thursday, my coming into my long weekend, I thought, oh, I know what I did the other week that was kind of really good for work. And it was like clear the desk to a certain extent of work stuff and put on some home stuff. Like the other week, I'd put on some notebooks. So it's like reclaiming it as the me out of work. So I put on all these notebooks and things like that and my home laptop and things. And this time I put on a Posco pen because one of the things I like doing is making T-shirts, designing slogans and putting T-shirts, writing slogans on T-shirts that I've designed. And so I put the Posco pen and I put a few notes on there and I put some home jewellery and a bit of makeup and I just put a few things on there and it was because I was just like ready. And then I was like, oh, we were going to watch a programme and we were just getting ready and my husband was getting ready for work and just kind of like fluffing about in that what I love to call interstitial time, which is from Ian Banks's book Wit. I'll put that in the description if I remember. That little bit of time in between things, like, you arrive at the swimming pool and you're about to go swimming and you just pause for a bit in the car and maybe listen to a song or something on the radio, or you have a little think and no one's going to call you because you've gone swimming and no one really knows where you are. Well, kind of, except nowadays they do because of phones. But anyway, that aside. And I just went over to my altar and I thought, I had thought about, there's these little kind of like almost like eggs and they come out of the arcades and you see them around. And I've got the bottom half of one, which is like a gold kind of bowl. And I've got that on my altar. And I was kind of thinking, oh, I wonder if that could be like the bottom. It could be a combine of the chalice, maybe even a stone. And I was walking along thinking that, and I actually found one on the ground that had a hole in it, but it was a kind of crumpled hole. I picked it up for a bit and then I was like, I think I'm going to have that. And anyway, I picked up my actual wand, which is simply a piece of wood that I found when I was setting my intention to find a wand, many years ago. So I picked that up, and then I had a burnt bit of wood that I found on the beach when I was walking on winter solstice, maybe a couple of years ago, a charred bit of wood, kind of this shape with some ridges in going down. And then I had a stone with a hole in with some red string, and the red string was long enough to go around me, but I got it all tangled up with some bracelets, so I had to cut it and shorten it. So ended up being too short to put on. But it was exactly the right length to have the wand and the bit of wood against each other and then wrap the string round, and the stone just sits at the base, and it just kind of, it's just sort of perfect. It's dirty, so it's as in earthy dirty. It's been burnt, so my hands got dirty. And while I was thinking of things to do, I had these other ideas, like, well, I could melt a bit of a candle in a base, and I could mix some earth from my altar, which is earth and coins, and I tipped everything out. I got earth all over my hands, and I thought, yeah, that's good, because that feels for me, natural and earthy and witchy, and the simplicity of it. And yeah, maybe I'll pick it up with something so I can show. I don't want to get dirt on my new dress. So, okay. So this is the finished article. Hopefully it's going to hold together. And that's the little stone with a hole in that kind of braces it, and I twisted it to brace it, and it just stands perfectly. Stood up all night on my altar. Hopefully it still will. And the reason I came up with all of this is I remembered some videos that my husband had found me years ago and told me about, and it's called The 7 Stages of Initiation by Megan. I'll put the more details in the description box, but that should be enough to find it. And there used to be 7 videos up. I could only find like 3 because maybe now it's behind a paywall, but I'd listened to most of them before anyway, and so I listened to the ones that I could listen to again on my retreat. And one of them is about the ancestors and is meeting your clan, meeting your mother and father. And that can be, I interpret this as your real biological or your metaphorical or imaginary, your ancestors. So you meet your fathers and mothers and you learn from them, and this comes to you in your mind, whatever comes into your mind, what is their kind of gift to you that's been passed down? What is their kind of wound or difficulty that's been passed down to you? And then what is it that the whole clan wants you to know about that side of the clan? And that really informed me kind of making the wand and then thinking about that in one hand I would have the wand, in the left hand I'd have the wand. Like the magician of the tarot, you have the wand is pointing upwards. And that's when I do healing as well. The energy is going in from my left. It's my left hand that gets really, really hot. And then my right hand is grounding. So in my right hand, I'm going to hold a stone and be putting my right hand down. And that's, someone taught me a long time ago about healing, about putting a hand on and the energy going in, and then the right hand is like grounding. And I've always thought that like the everything going kind of through you and earthing, so that you're getting that suffering out of the person, but also out of yourself as well. You're being a conduit and processing it. I also thought, as an aside, it's something that we could use just generally to process emotion that we pick up at work or from others, or from the internet. So that is just an aside. So my ancestors was from my father's side. The positive, the gift was that they're very strong. And the negative was weakness for alcoholism. The thing for the whole clan was that really good at kind of building a home and building financial and stable security, that kind of thing. Like, so then I was like, really thought about the stone. I remember when we was traveling and we saw these shrines where people would put stones and then another stone. And apparently it's to kind of symbolize asking for a home. And I thought, so for me, that's that grounded stability as well. And just reminding myself, yeah, good at that. Or, well, just reminding myself, it's like another side to think about: financial stability, home. And that, yeah, I've got some traits that, yeah, I'm good at that stuff. The other side, my mother's, again, strength and independence. The wound, if you like, was kind of feeling insecure, unable to trust others, so that you kind of end up doing everything by yourself, because maybe you think everyone's going to leave or that you can't trust people. And perhaps a fear of trusting. And the thing that the whole clan wanted me to know, and again, agree or disagree or whatever, and I don't even know, I've just come to trust that, you just go with these things with an open mind, and it comes in, whatever comes into your mind through your intuition, go along with, and then use as you will. So, and then the thing that the whole clan wanted me to know was that they're kind of witchy, but that they don't know. And if you've ever watched The Umbrella Academy, remember the sister rumoured to her, you think you don't have any powers? And so there's that one that's the most powerful and she thinks she doesn't have any powers. And I really powerfully identified with that, because it's really important to be really focused on not letting one's ego go out of control. And not go around going, oh yeah, I'm a this and I'm a that and I'm a, I'm an empath, by at the same time going around interrupting people and treading on people's feelings, because yeah, better be really sure that you're perfect before going around saying stuff like that. That's my opinion, because I know I'm not perfect. I know I interrupt. I know I overly focused on my own opinions. And, I know I've got loads of work to do on myself. At the same time, one can be so down on oneself that we negate our own powers. And so that's when I kind of thought, yeah, okay, commitment to that side of the family. And I know my family are very open about all of that side, some bits of it. Intuition, into healing. Some bits not at all. There's also a lot of depression, a lot of mental illness, and a lot of OCD. And then I thought today, and I'd actually seen, on the social media algorithm or whatever, which, like life, you see what you want to see and you see what you pay attention to, and there's absolutely everything, the good and the bad and the helpful and the unhelpful, as you all would know, I'm sure, much better than I do. But yeah, I saw this thing of sometimes you just see things that are so helpful. And I saw this thing and it said, OCD, is like maybe a thwarted ritual. And I've thought of that before, and my husband's thought of that before, about when people do kind of OCD type things, is it thwarted religion, and how religious rituals can look a bit like OCD. And so, yeah, I just thought, well, okay, go that way a bit. So the magician with the wand in one hand, a stone in the other. Oh yes, sorry, I forgot. The whole point of this was that from the ancestors, you get the strength, you get the vulnerability, you get the thing that the clan wants you to know about the clan, and then you get an object. So the object from my dad's side, the ones that are good at building and financial security and are strong, but be careful of the alcoholism. The object was a stone. And I had one on my altar, and it's perfect palm size, and it's just lovely. And the one from my mother's side was like a wand / chalice with like a flared base, and kind of solid thing you could hold. But yeah, kind of an ornate gold thing. I really feel my style, and I'm much more just make things. So yeah, anyway, I just intuitively made that yesterday. And talking of some more intuition, although it could only just be 1 out of 3 success, I won't know till later. But I much as I am an anti-consumer and all the rest of it, sometimes I do buy stuff. And I went shopping on eBay the other night because I've got a little pamphlet launch coming up of some writing, and I thought, oh, you know what, I'm just going to get a dress. So I went on eBay, and they're kind of like new but secondhand. So not new from a shop. I think they're new from individuals. I did check, but kind of as new dresses. And I just ordered 3 dresses. There's 2 in the background which I haven't tried on yet, and 1 which I have tried on. And yeah, it's like fits perfectly and stuff. And yeah, I suppose going around all the shops is just, oh my God, so overwhelming. And I always think with eBay, like I've done it before, where just shop, and even if just one thing's okay, then it will be kind of worth it. And the other things can just go back into I'll go and take them to the charity shop and just go back in. But hopefully 1 or 2 of the others will also be nice. So yeah, that's why on a Friday morning on my day off, I'm wearing a new dress. And yeah, maybe that's also to do with some other things like from the algorithm. So there's quite a lot of I spend quite a lot of time I spend a lot of time writing, a lot of time thinking, and I was doing these videos, the initiation videos, deep meditation videos, and I was did exercise. I went to circuits class, and I went swimming, and I went for walks, and I ate food, and I did all of those things. And I also spent absolutely loads of time on the phone and on Instagram, and a lot of really positive older women things, which, yeah, as an older woman in my 50s, very nice to hear. And because I am, Miss Positive Pollyanna kind of slant on things most of the time, I take that as, yeah, to be more proud and happy with myself as an older woman. I do not take it as to be faction out into splits of thinking that all the younger women don't like the older women, and that, oh, we should only like the other older women. You know, I'm absolutely proud and honoured to have friends and colleagues and people that I work with across all different ages, and I absolutely love that. And it's amusing to see things about the generations, and to see your own generation reflected back, especially when it says nice things about it, as it would, because it's an echo chamber. But I also enjoyed learning a few years ago about some differences between like millennials and Gen Zs, and how you can tell the difference because of the way their hair is parted or the type of socks they wear, and then noticing that, yeah, that seemed to be true. And on the day that I just looked at it on the bus or whatever, and yeah, it's amusing. Yeah, I think it's really important to resist all the kind of splits and stuff. But as I'm reminded time and time again, you know, the world of social media comments, you know, where people seem kind of mean to each other, is just so removed from, you know, the actual reality of interacting with people, which is, you know, generally really, really nice, in my opinion. So how to end it? Yeah, I'll put some details about the meditations in, and today I'm going to go to circuits class. I might go and shop for some vegetables and cook something from scratch, either to be eaten today or another day. I've had a few days of just eating kind of dry toast and avocado and porridge, but I kind of feel like, yeah, today I can eat. Yeah, because I wasn't feeling very well. Usually I eat loads. Then I've got a meeting about my pamphlet poetry, and then a restful weekend. Yeah, I just need to really rest and recharge my batteries. And that was just, one other thing, I guess, is that this has happened to me before, where, well, it was maybe about, it's happened again since then, but it was about September 2010. And so I met my husband in July 2009, and that kind of triggered like a full-on tripped out spiritual awakening. And before that, I would never have even described myself as spiritual. I didn't even know what it meant. In my work journals for mental health, it would say things like, spirituality and mental health. I didn't even really knew what that meant. I understood about cultural awareness and sensitivities. I didn't understand what spirituality actually meant. I knew, or like religious sensitivities, but I didn't know, what it meant. What does it actually mean? And then I found out. The most I ever would have said to anyone is like, oh, I'm a vegetarian or something. But anyway, that happened, and then in the September, I was just about to start a new job, a new, much more powerful job that I was able to do as a result of the support and encouragement I got from my husband and from the effect of my husband. And everything was ready at the old job, and I was just like, burnt out. I'm very much operate on a boom and bust scale at work and at home. And I was just totally fatigued, and I was like, I'm going to take a day off. And sometimes, I can go years without having days off at work, and I'm not saying that's good. Often I should have days off and I don't. And then I had a day off, and I picked up the Tibetan book of living and dying. And, like people say of the Bible, always opens at the right page. And it said these things about how the last vestige of the ego can make you feel like you're going mad. And that was really helpful to me because of all the mental illness in my family. It's really unhelpful for me to think that I'm going to go mad. And and obviously it's quite a long time later, and I've still held down a job and functioning. And I don't think, well, who knows? People might say I was crazy, maybe they would, but I function in life, and I think I'm okay. And so that was kind of this time of like a spiritual kind of change or the reflection or some a spiritual intense work and then fatigue that came after it and a day off. And I think that's maybe what happened at the weekend, perhaps overdid it a little bit. Like, we can overdo meditation, we can overdo writing, we can overdo self-reflection. And yeah, just like you can overdo time on the internet and you need to go and touch grass or whatever, you can overdo your iconography, you can overdo your spirituality. And yeah, if that ever happens to anybody, my solid advice is to go outside and to eat potatoes. Well, to go outside unless you really don't feel like you can go out, but yeah, eat potatoes because they're very grounding, or any other root vegetable. And if this sounds silly, just the fact that you might think it works does work. Works for me. If you feel the spiritual, you're raising up too high, or your feet are not on the ground because, feet, head in the clouds, feet on the ground, that balance. Eat potatoes, rest, sleep, just watch something really light and funny, maybe go for a walk or get some exercise if that's okay for you. And yeah, so perhaps I overdid it a little bit. And just like when one weekend I decided, I'll go and do a whole healing weekend, learning how to do healing for people with cancer, which is really, really a heavy subject. A whole weekend, it wasn't away, it was 2 days, but it was driving there. And then go back to work on the Monday with no rest. And that was just such a bad idea. And yeah, it was just like that, really. So that's why I flattened a bit and crashed and had a day off. But yeah, it's all good. I feel really recovered today. I still need to take it easy because, what did I say earlier? Boom or bust. I have to watch myself. I have to rest. And if you've listened to all of this, then yeah, thank you so much. And or if you've listened to any of it, thank you so much. And see you next time.